welcome back to another episode. My name's Steph, and I'm your pod savvy guide. And I am so incredibly stoked to interview our guest today. He's someone I've wanted on the show for a long time. And if you've spent time in the podcasting world, chances are you've come across Dave Campbell. He's the host of the How to Podcast series, where he shares practical advice to help podcasters start, grow, and stay consistent. But what I admire most about Dave is that last fall I was on his show and it was such a reminder. I was so nervous beforehand, and I've talked about him before in other episodes. And the way he greeted me and how he really cared about what I was doing and I listened to all the episodes, it made me be like, man, that's how I want to be a host. So I mean, Dave, guys, he's remarkable. Dave has 9 active podcasts. 9. He's produced more than 2,000 episodes. And through his company, True Media Solutions, he helps creators with editing, promotion, and podcast growth. And, whether Dave is interviewing fellow podcasters, sharing actionable tips, or encouraging new creators to simply hit record, he really has become one of podcasting's biggest champions. I'm going to stop my yapping. I'm going to let you listen to the episode, but make sure to go check out the How to Podcast series and Dave's other podcasts and enjoy the show. Dive in. Okay, Dave, last time we talked, you said that you were doing a challenge, so it was November, and you were doing how many episodes in the month?
How many episodes? I'm doing a daily episode this year, every single day, 365 in a row.
Oh, you're doing 365?
In a row.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to start with asking, because you also have a full-time job.
Yep.
You're a husband. You have all the other...
I'm a grandfather.
Grandfather? How many grandkids?
Two grandkids under 2.
Okay. So I think that sometimes people with podcasting, especially when it is you're doing it, but it's how do you fit it in with everything else? So can you tell us a little bit about how do you batch record? How do you keep this moving? Especially, I didn't realize you're doing one every single day.
Okay, so here's another thing I did, which was completely not something I would encourage anybody to do. On Valentine's Day weekend, the 13th and the 14th, I did 24 episodes in 24 hours.
Holy cow!
Every single hour I recorded an episode, edited the episode, did the show notes, posted it, did the next one, did the next one, did the next one. 24 hours straight from 10 a.m. on the 13th to 10 a.m. on the 14th. So I watched the sun go down and I watched the sun come up, and 24 episodes in a row. And on the even hours, so 2, 4, 6, 8, all that, I went live on LinkedIn, TikTok, a bunch of different places. And I went and actually did live streaming with my audience and talked to them, and then went back to my recording as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's take this 24-hour.
Okay.
Was your wife supportive of you doing this over Valentine's Day?
From what I remember, yes. Yeah, she was. She actually took the day off work to be here and help me. She's amazing. She's superstar.
So it was a team effort. So how did you get, because to even set up 24 episodes and to have them all throughout the night, was it... How did you tell people you were doing it? Did they know it was part of a challenge? Just brain dump with us everything.
So I did. I talked about it on my podcast in advance. So I was promoting it there. I talked about it on social media. I did up special promo stuff for it. I did a clock and a countdown, and there's something big is happening, and it's this kind of build the anticipation. And people were like, "What's going on?" And I wouldn't tell anybody. I just kept building it over a few weeks beforehand. I didn't even know completely what I was doing, Steph really, but I just created it anyway. And I already had a 24 episode arc that I wanted to do. Was my pathway to podcasting. It was kind of taking you from the very, very beginning of I have an idea to I am now on all the apps. That's kind of it, right? I was going to walk you through all the 24 steps in a row. That was the idea. And I'm well, because I have one for every hour, so that's 24 hours. So I have to have at least 24 episodes. And by the time about the 3 a.m. mark came in, Steph, I was getting a little goofy because I had been awake for so long. And I'm pretty sure I sounded a little bit intoxicated, but I wasn't. But my mouth started not working. And I'm like, oh, this is a lot of work. So anyway, I wouldn't advise that for anybody. But it was really fun, though, to do that. And that was on top of my daily episodes and on top of working and on top of all my other podcasts, because I have 9 different shows that I do, right? So I'm doing all of this other stuff over here while I'm doing this over there, and I'm kind of blending it all together at the same time. So for me, batch recording really works. I only have limited time on my days off. I have a night job, so I work overnights. So when I come home in the morning, I got work last night. Right now it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my time, where we're recording. I haven't gone to bed yet from last night's shift. So I've been up all day so far, and I'll sleep later on today and then go back to work tonight. So I have this weird schedule where I can record and do stuff during the day at the expense of sleep. But yeah, I just try to squeeze as much into my week as I can. That's kind of how I approach it.
Okay, and with this 24, I'm still, like, blown away by this. Um, you were also editing during
Yep.
that time.
Yep.
Like,
I'm a team of
it
one, by the way. I'm a team of one. I do all everything from the beginning to end myself. So there's nobody else helping me in that side. So yeah, did it all. Yeah.
and so you would just end a episode and then, like, edit and publish it right there?
Yeah, it had to be done within the hour. So I was doing like a 30-minute episode where I would normally do maybe 40 minutes. So I cut it down to 30, gives me 30 minutes to do my editing, get all that cleaned up, show notes, artwork, all that stuff done, posted. And then we'd go to YouTube. So I'd create a thumbnail for that as well. That would go up as well. And then I'd be into my second hour, third hour, fourth hour. Yeah. A lot of
What
organizing.
what did you, like, learn about yourself during that process?
That I probably won't do this on a regular basis. That was one thing I learned because it's a lot of work, a lot of prep, a lot of mental prep as well. Um, I think, my biggest thing in 2026, I just want to be in a creative space. I want to put myself in a place where I'm forced to be creative. There's actually a point in 2025 where my podcasts were kind of running on their own. Like I was batched out early. I had weeks of content created, set to go live. And I'm kind of like, now what? Like it's kind of really working well, which I love. I really love that it's working. But I kind of felt a little bit like not as challenged like I used to be. And I'm like, why am I feeling like this? So that's why I gave myself the goal of a daily episode in 2026 and doing the 24 hours, that whole thing. I just wanted to put myself in a spot where I was not as comfortable. And what could I come up with? So the idea of doing the daily episodes is not to burden my audience with content. It's about me being in a creative space. And I find when put myself in that space of being creative, more creativity finds me. Like it becomes easier. I have so many ideas right now. I could do 2 episodes a day and I would still have more ideas. Like it just seems to be building upon itself. So that's exciting for me because I was kind of getting into a little bit of a dry spell as far as my passion for podcasting. You took a break, right? And you needed to, which is great. And I really think that's admirable that you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this for me and I need to do this for me. So I think that's amazing. And I've missed you, by the way. But I, as a listener, as one of your pod nerds, I missed you. But I know that I was getting to a spot where I didn't feel as challenged as I wanted to be, and I didn't know how to fix it. So I'm like, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. We're 6 months in. I'm halfway through, and I'm still doing it, but we'll see what happens at the end of the year.
And I think that this is why I just, love talking to you so much because I'm that same way where a number goal keeps me going and it makes things a little bit more fun, right? Like, um, and so but, like, the fact that you do 9 episodes and that last year you were saying that you were ahead of schedule, like, let's just rewind a little bit because I think that people that are listening and maybe you have your first episode out or your first 10 and you're listening to this and you're like, "How does he do this?" You didn't just start off the gate doing this, right? Like,
No.
okay, so tell us how you started.
So I started with one show like normal people would do. And that was with my wife, Jen, and it was around our small business. And that that was kind of like an opportunity to try podcasting. And it was great because it was co-hosted. It was fun for the two of us. That was the beginning, and then from there, it just kind of morphed from there. So I have like a dad podcast, an author podcast. Some of my podcasts are 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some are once a week. Some are twice a month. There's different cadence to each of the shows. So they're not exactly the same. And then the How to Podcast series is 365. So they're all different, but they're all batched out. So like right now, Dad Space, I'm building all my episodes for June. We're doing this at the end of May right now. So those are just finalizing and being completed. Then all of June is done for Dad Space. I can put that podcast away, set them to go live, move on to the next thing. Then I have my podcast editing and support show. All those episodes are being created right now as well. Batch all those out. They're done. On to the next one. At the same time, creating my How to Podcast, at the same time doing interviews for Living in the Next Chapter, my author podcast, and coaching and doing a community for podcasters. I'm doing all these things at the same time, not just the actual creation of the podcast.
But don't you feel like because you're doing more, it like you said, it gets a little bit easier because you're in the zone? You aren't like, "Wait," because especially when people are trying something new, I
Mhm.
always recommend, like, "Hey, just, like, give yourself a challenge," because if you're only doing 1 podcast every few months, you aren't gonna get in the groove of it, you know?
Right. You're going to get better the more you do it. So if you think of like somebody who goes golfing, if you go to the driving range and just hit golf balls for an hour or 2 hours, you're going to get better at golfing. You're not actually playing golf, but you're practicing your swing. Batters in baseball, they go in a batting cage and they just throw balls at them the whole time and they just try to hit the ball. They're not actually playing baseball, they're practicing. So the more you get on the microphone, the more you get in front of a camera, and the more you do this thing called podcasting, the better you're going to get at it. So again, to your point, Steph, if you only do this once a month, once every 2 months, once every 6 months, you're not going to have something that builds upon itself over time because there's such a big gap in between where you don't get the wins, don't carry forward to the next episode. So I'm not telling anybody to do what I'm doing because that's not the point of this. But whatever works for you in your schedule, if you can do 2 episodes a month where you used to do one, you've doubled your potential to build upon yourself. That's great. Perfect. Then do that. Whatever it is for you, you got to pick the thing that works for you. Don't try to copy somebody else and mimic what they're doing because it might not work for you. You might burn yourself out. Don't do that. But whatever puts you into that space where you feel just a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit more than you would normally do, is where I find personally for myself, that's where I seem to grow. And when I get comfortable, I don't seem to grow as much. So by putting myself out there and doing this for like to myself and trying to encourage myself to be more creative, I'm finding that creativity is finding me and I'm getting better at what I do and more comfortable on the microphone, more comfortable doing interviews. Total across my 9 shows, I have over 2,200 episodes in 7 years. So in that much time, half of those are interviews, half of them are solos. So I'm getting better at both at the same time and I'm building upon myself and it's just getting easier, which then opens the door to, okay, well, what next can I do? And it's all about putting myself, what do I see for myself in the future and how can I get there? Then that's kind of my approach. So whatever as you listen to this and watch this, whatever that is for you, then just what is that one little bit more that you could add to what you're doing without burning yourself out? Love your family, take care of yourself, be good to yourself. But if you're finding yourself getting to that part where you're like, I don't feel as challenged as I used to feel in podcasting and writing a book, whatever that is, then what can you do just a little bit more that puts you in that uneasy feeling of, oh, this is work. I'm getting better. Like I see progress. Whatever that is for you, then maybe that you should try that.
No, everything that you're saying is so true because it is like a dopamine hit when you, like I remember figuring out back in the day how to host my RSS feed and then
Right.
how to connect that to a website
Yeah.
and then how to edit, and it's like, You did that, you created it, and so I think it's so wise what you're saying, like, yeah, you you don't have to be at Dave's level right now. Most people aren't at Dave's level of doing on just 1 episode, 365 episodes, but then he has all his others, that
I love
he's
it as you
doing.
giggle about that when you say that. I like that stuff. You're like,
No,
"What?"
it's
Yeah,
goals for me. I want to do that. Like, it's so inspiring because everything that you're saying, it's true because when you can push yourself just a little bit more, it makes it a little bit more fun.
right.
And so, like, I want your perspective because I've talked before about how I learned so much from you as a host, and that I was nervous for the episode that we did because I hadn't been on a podcast forever. So I want to hear your tips with 3 things. The first
Okay.
is, like, o of you said, over 2,200 episodes. That's a ton. Like, how have you learned to be a better host?
Hmm.
How have you learned to be better with, like, solo episodes? And how have you learned to just embrace, like, done is better than perfect?
Okay. As a host, I've learned how to prepare my stuff better, not just wing it, like just turn on the mic and hope for the best. I want to bring my best to my audience. So as a host, I'm editing better. As a host, when I'm interviewing people on my show, I'm asking better questions. I'm giving my guests more space to speak. You're a great example right now. Steph, you're doing it right now, by the way. You let your guests talk without having to redirect them or jump in with your story. I talked on my podcast recently about being a one-upper. You know what a one-upper is, Steph? That's that person who everything one person says, they have to respond with something one better, right? You know, I had a donut for lunch. Oh, when the other person's like, oh, I had 5 donuts for lunch. You're like, really? I went for a walk. Oh, I run marathons. Okay, come on.
Mhm.
Like, come on. Like, you always have to one up me. Like, and I find in podcasting, sometimes the hosts, because we're so excited to have time with stuff, like, come on. Like, right. I just want to jump in and I want to, while you're talking and answering my first question, I'm already asking you the second question. And you haven't even answered the first question. I stopped you. I redirected you because I'm so excited. Sometimes you just have to sit back and relax. So as a host, I've learned how to be a better listener. I've learned to be more prepared. I've learned how to organize my time. All those things have benefited me outside of podcasting. I'm a better listener with my wife because I know how to listen on a podcast. I know how to give her space. I know how to be more organized. I know how to be better with my time. All of these things translate into life outside of podcasting, which makes you a better person, right? So there's a big win as a podcaster. Don't just focus on creating a podcast. You're creating yourself as a better person in the process as well. So leverage all of those lessons and bring them into your regular life with you. Don't leave them at your podcast microphone setup. Bring them into life because you're a different person because of podcasting. So, and as a host side, that's really helped me. Um, and then as a solo host as well, I think being more comfortable on the mic and being myself, not so stiff and starchy and presenting myself as the perfect person. I'm not. I laugh at myself. I make stupid jokes that, things just kind of come out of me while I'm talking. And I'm like, well, that was really weird. Okay, let's just keep going. I like just leaning into who I am and, and it kind of being more of who I want to be, right? I'm naturally a really quiet, reserved person in a big setting of people. I don't like big groups of people. I feel awkward and I feel like nobody wants to even interact with me. I'd rather go home and I've only been there for 5 minutes, right? But in podcasting, I get to be a little bit more of what I want to be as Dave just because of a microphone. So it's really helped me to kind of work through all of those things. There's so much more to all of it, but those are some of the things that kind of stand out.
Man, I really appreciate what you said about the one-upping and how sometimes we are so excited 'cause at work, I'm listening, to, like, the I'm not the host, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
producing it, and so I'm more, like, listening and being like, "You guys interrupted. You guys, like, shared the answer," you know? But when you're doing it yourself, it's hard sometimes because it's like, "Yeah, of course I wanted to jump in there." But I
Yeah.
feel like I 100% get that of just giving people more, space, and a podcast conversation is different than a normal conversation. You can't interrupt as much,
Right.
and you have to embrace the pauses, you know?
Yeah. So I have a practical way to fix the one-upping.
Mhm.
Okay, Steph, wanna do a role play here?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Tell me tell me what your ideal vacation activity would be. What would you love to do? You go on vacation, you get to do something, and you do that. This would be my favorite thing to do. What would it be?
I really want to go to Italy and, taste all the pasta.
Okay. So now if I jump in right now as a one-upper, I'm gonna try to do something a little bit more than what you just said, right? So I could be like, "Oh, well, I'm a pastry chef, and, for me, Italian pastries are my favorite, and these are my 5 favorite pastries." And you're, like, sitting here listening to me talk about my idea of what Italian food is about, right? I'm like, "Okay, well, okay. Well, what instead of me jumping in right away with my input, because I wanna show that I'm interacting with you, what if I asked you 3 questions, clarifying questions about what you just said? Instead of me jumping in with my input, what's going to happen? So let's do it again. You tell me again what you
Okay.
said, and I'm going to do the 3 questions. Watch this approach instead.
I really wanna go on a trip to Italy and eat all the pasta.
Have you ever been to Italy before?
I haven't.
So why Italy? Like maybe why not Greece or Spain?
Because I've been to Spain and I didn't love the food there. It was pretty, but I didn't love the food. The whole time I was like, "I wish I was in Italy."
What about the culture of Italy is so attractive to you?
I mean, like, honestly, I think that throughout Europe, there's old, cool buildings everywhere, but I am such a pasta gal that I wanna go see old, cool buildings and a beautiful view with food that I enjoy.
So I've just asked you 3 more probing questions about Italy, and I haven't even mentioned the fact anything from my point of view yet, right? I've honored you as my guest, and I've held back on my input, my comments, my stories, my reaction, right? Because I want to honor you. I've taken the back seat, and now I've found out about Italy. I've asked you 3 probing questions that clarify it, and now I can add my story about Italy because I've honored you. And it's this really cool moment where my audience gets to know more about you. I've dug deeper into talking about Italy with you. And now the audience is really connected with you. And now I have space to talk about a little bit of what I think about Italy and then go to my next question. If I want to talk about Italy from my own perspective, I'm going to do a solo episode about my time in Italy. I'm here to honor you. You're my guest. I'm not gonna have you sit there and listen to me like I'm doing to you right now. Sitting there and listen to me go on and on and on about my trip to Italy. You're the guest. I'm the host. I'm supposed to honor you. So I'm gonna ask those 3 extra questions, go a little deeper with you, add a little touch of me at the end of that, and go into the next question. It's about you. It's not about me.
And I had a aha moment as you were asking me those questions, because I think that, like, sometimes we don't always ask the little more probing, and three gets a little bit more into it. I had to sit and think, "Wait, why do I want this?" And so,
Mm,
how cool as a guest to go away from an interview and you're sort of, like, pondering something because of a question that was asked to you, you know?
right. So I had a teacher from Switzerland, a university professor, and he wrote 3 different books. He's on my author podcast, Living the Next Chapter. And when he was done talking about these 3 books that he wrote at different periods of his life, um, I said to him, are these books connected in some way? Like, are they all standalone books?" He's like, "They're all standalone books. There's no connection." I'm like, "Is there a common thread at all between these 3?" He's like, "No." And I could have just moved on from that, but I wasn't happy with that stuff. Because I want to go a little deeper with my guest. So I said, "Well, can I suggest a common thread?" And he kind of looked at me funny on the camera and he's like, "Okay, go ahead." I said, "Well, you wrote all 3. So that's a common thread." He's like, "Okay, well, okay. Yeah, you got me there." I said, "Because when I'll tell you what I'm hearing as you explain these books, I'm hearing that each of these books sounds like you're wrestling with your own self-identity as the author." And he just kind of tilted his head a little bit and he said, "What did you say?" And I'm like, "Uh-oh. I don't know if I said, did I just do something wrong?" In my head, I'm like, "Oh, back up, back up, back up." But I'm like, well, I explained to him what I heard him say, rephrased it back. And I said, all 3 of these sound like you're wrestling with your own self-identity. And he said, "You know what? I've been talking about these books for years on podcasts, on stages, in my classroom. I have never put that together before. I've never connected those dots between those 3 books. I have to now go and rethink everything I've ever said about my own books because of that question." And when we were done, we had stopped and he said, "Who gave you that question, Dave, to ask me that? Who did somebody on my team give you that question?" I'm like, "No, no, just me." He said, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm just a guy in my basement recording a podcast." Right. I had a psychiatrist on my show. And when we were done, she said, She said, "Dave, have you ever gone to school for psychiatry? Like, have you gone to university for this and studied this?" I'm like, No, not even close." She said, "Because the conversation I had with you just now, I would have that with my peers." She's like, "Where did you get those questions from?" I said, "Well, I just listened to you. You're the expert. I just love talking to you, and I find you really intriguing, and I'm a very curious person." She's like, "I don't know who you are, but those were the best questions I've ever been asked on a podcast." Right? I want people to walk away from time with me a little bit kind of like, what just happened here? Like, who is that guy? And I want to tell somebody about that person because that interaction I had was way more than just the surface level conversations that I get on some of the other things that I do. Right? I want them to walk away with a piece of that conversation and they feel valued as a guest on my show. I always treat my guest as if they're a listener of my show. I never treat my guest as a stranger because there's a good chance they've heard something from my show before they came on as a guest. So that makes them a listener. So I'm always interviewing my friends. I'm never interviewing a stranger. And when I talk to you, Steph, I get that feeling from you that that's how you treat people. And that's why I love talking to you because you do that as well. And I pick up on that as a guest on your show because you just bring value in everything you do. And you said you learned from me. I learned from you, Steph. So that's what I love about podcasting is we can have this kind of interaction together and we can support each other and be in each other's corner and just build each other up. And at the end of our time together, I hope that both of us walk away from this going, that was really worth my time today.
Man, like, hearing those examples, it's just that reminder as a podcaster, you know, we only have an hour with someone, right?
Yeah,
But, like I've said, like, after your interview, I was like, "Man, I feel so seen because I was working on my 100 days of podcasting challenge," and
I know.
sometimes your family and friends, let's be honest, like, they're supporting you, but they don't get, like, nerdy with you, you
Yeah,
know? Like
right.
and so it's so nice to have someone, like, be like, "Good job with everything," and that's what we get to do as hosts, and especially, like, the questions, how they're like, "Who wrote this?" Like, did you have those questions planned before, or were you just listening and being curious?
I held up my blank clipboard with nothing written on my paper and went, I don't even have the questions written down. So my only problem with that with that strategy, Steph, is if my guest says, "Oh, what was your question again?" I have no idea. I have no idea what I asked because I'm already thinking about what we're doing next, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's like the circus without a net. You know, the people in
Mhm.
trapeze. I have no idea, right? So if I fall, I'm going to fall. But yeah, there was no questions written out in advance.
So, when you talk about, like, preparing, though, for interview, like, how do you prepare for it? Because 'Cause I'm always curious what people do.
If I'm going on a podcast, then I'm gonna listen to the show, as I mentioned earlier. So again, in my head, I'm representing your community by being here with you. That's why I have Pod Nerd on my name on the
Mhm,
screen, because I wanna represent your community here with you. If everyone listening to your show and part of your community could be here right now instead of me, I'm sure they'd have a ton of things they'd love to tell you about you, Steph, what you do, how you serve us as a community member. I'm not here as a stranger. I'm here as one of your community. So I'm representing everybody else. I get the honor to sit here on behalf of everyone and tell you, Steph, how amazing you are as a creator. And we're so excited you're back and you're getting everything up and running. I get to be that person, right? So when as I'm a host and I'm bringing somebody on my show, I'm going to try to find out if they've been on other podcasts. I always do a pre-interview with all my guests. Not everybody does this, but I find that over 60% of my guests have never been a guest before, ever on a podcast. And they're really super nervous. They want to do well. And if I just meet them, hit record, and off we go, sure, I could do it. I've got a lot of episodes behind me, but they don't have a lot of episodes behind them. So I can lead them and guide them, and I'm going to give them a great experience to the best of my ability, but there's no bond yet between the
mhm.
two of us. So I love a pre chat, and I usually do it in advance, not the same day. I try to do it ahead of time. I've given exceptions, not a problem. But my preference is I like to talk to you. I like to then go and listen to you, read your book, check up on your YouTube channel, whatever. I'll do my research and come back because then I've had time to process and think about you and contemplate how can I do a different angle on the questions you've been asked elsewhere. Right. So I do that kind of stuff in advance. So that helps me to kind of make a bridge with my guest. And I think we have a better conversation and they feel more relaxed because now we're not meeting as strangers. We're meeting as two people who know each other. And again, because I treat them like a listener when they come on my show, they're a member of my community. There's a level of care that I have for them as a host when I view my guest as a community member, not a stranger. So that's kind of how I do that.
And I'm curious, like, with doing the prep call, when do you do these? Because like what you said, like, scheduling and, like, you have a lot of stuff on your plate, so how long are they? When do you usually do them?
I do them in advance, like maybe a week or two before, probably. And then they're usually about a 30-minute time in my calendar, but I don't always use the full 30 minutes. Um, uh, what I do is I simply just talk them through the show, a little history about the podcast, tell them who the audience is, ask them if they have any questions about the show. I get to check out their tech without asking for their tech, right? I can
Mm,
see and hear them. And I'm like, is this how you're going to be recording when we get together? Yeah, perfect. I don't even need to ask you. I'm happy with what I hear and see. I'm fine. I don't even need you to fill out the form, right? And they get to walk away with a chance to connect with me, understand the show better. I can even recommend some episodes that I think they should go listen to that would really fit with what they want to talk about. And I'm like, I had somebody on, they talked about a similar thing than you. You know, you're a military veteran. I had a military veteran on last week. You should probably listen to that episode. It's really good. And if you like, I'd like to connect the two of you because I think you and them would be a great connection, right? So I'm building those things as well. And I'm bringing two strangers because of my show together and now they're going to go do life together because of my podcast. And I'm totally out of the mix. But I was able to introduce two people that never would have met each other anyway, right? So I'm always kind of thinking in that kind of way as well. How can I bring value to my guests beyond them just being on my show?
and I agree, like, prep calls really for years at work, I would do prep calls, and especially, I feel like if you're doing a business podcast, like ours was real estate,
Yeah,
it was so much better for them to, like, for us to pick a topic and go into it, and then they could go get advice from their broker or, like, their boss or whatnot, and so they came prepared.
right.
So I definitely agree that prep calls can be a great tool, and I love what a maven you are of connecting people,
Hmm,
like, and you've done all of these episodes, and it probably is like, do you feel this way when you see past guests on social media that you're like, "Oh, my friend," because it's like you do build that friendship?
right. There's a bond there, right? And then what I love too is I'll have the episode goes live, and I have, on my website and stuff, I have a buy me a coffee where people can give back to the show, right? And when my guests start sending me support that way. That was a great episode, Dave. Here's a couple coffees. I'm like, come on. Like, that's so cool, right? Like, they're thinking of me. They know what it took to create the episode. We had a great experience together, and they show kindness like that. That's like the coolest thing ever. So that's another whole element to this. And just knowing that I'm on this mission to collect people in 2026. That's my goal, to collect as many people as I can. So you're in my collection, Steph, by the way. So as if I can just keep adding people to my life, I'd much rather collect this than salt and pepper shakers, right? They're great, but you don't really need a lot of salt and pepper shakers. I need more people in my life. And that's really been my goal. So podcasting has opened the door for me to meet people I'd never meet, have conversations I would never have, right? And add people to my world that make my world better. And I hope any interaction with me on my show or me being on your show would make their life better as well.
Yeah, I loved what you said about collecting people, like, and how cool it is probably to be like, "Wait, you guys should collaborate and go do this," and sort of be that matchmaker of, because I'm sure you're interviewing with all your different podcasts, people in different professions or, like, with the dad podcast or whatnot, like, just, different situations that you're like, "Oh, you guys should definitely connect."
Yeah. And then I get these people, I'll get a dad who wrote a book and has a podcast. Well, guess what? I've got 3 shows I can get you on and get you in front of 3 completely different audiences. We can either record once and I'll repurpose it across all 3 shows, or I'll have you back 3 times. And people are like, "What?" Yeah, that's like I have my own podcast network basically across my 9 different podcasts. So I can slot you in a bunch of different places and give you the opportunity with one connection with me to promote you in multiple places in front of a whole bunch of people. And I love that I can do that and I can offer that to people. That's so rewarding.
Yeah, so cool. And I just like I'm like the time's flying so fast because I could pick your brain forever. But I think what I want to end on is like as you're talking about that there's these different audiences. The thing that most people are struggling with is how do you grow your podcast? I mean, I talk about it all the time that like Buzzsprout, it's usually like if you have like I don't it changes all the time, but like less than 50 people listen in a week, you're in the top or 30 people listen and you're in the top 50% of
Right.
podcasts. And that can be so discouraging. But like how have you been able to grow these shows or have you even cared about that?
My approach is a little different, Steph.
Okay,
And
let's hear it.
when I work with podcasters, this is one of the questions I'll ask. So I'll give you a little behind the scenes. What is and I'll do it with you, Steph. What is the minimum number of people that you would show up for as a podcaster from an audience perspective? What's the minimum number?
That if I was speaking in front of them.
Yeah, or you on your show to create your next episode, the minimum number of people that you would show up for.
Well, for me, I feel like it's different because I've never cared about the numbers until
Mm,
recently. So I'm like,
okay.
even one, because that's how I started out being like, hey, if one person listens, it's good.
Okay.
But
All right. So when's the last time you've had an apple?
at Apple, a long
Yeah.
time.
Okay. So when you cut open an apple, what's inside the apple?
The seeds.
Okay. You know that you can count the number of seeds in an apple, right? You can pick
Hmm.
them out and count them, but you can't count the number of apples in a seed.
Oh, yeah.
So if one person represented as a seed, if one person listened to your show, Steph, maybe you had a mental health podcast and because of the guests you had on or because of the story you told or because you showed up, they heard your podcast and they went home and treated their partner better, or they were kinder to their children, or They did the big thing that they always kind of hesitated to do because of your words, your show. And their life was different because of your podcast. That one listen, their whole life is different. Like their whole future is different. Their whole family, the dynamic, the children to the children to the children, because of your show. One person. Their whole world is different because of your show. Would that be enough?
For sure.
Right? But that goes flies in the face of all of these things about being the top percentage, top 100, top this, top that, top charts, right? Huge audiences, big podcast. It's the counter to that. It's the deep connection with somebody who actually listens to your show. On Dad Space, I did an episode around men's mental health, and I was just talking about the fact that as men, we don't have it all together. We're kind of like the people who try to bring in all the groceries in one shot from the car into the house. You have bags hanging all over you. I'm going to do this in one shot. I don't need any help, right? I could do this, right? Don't help me. I got it. We have all these bags and boxes and cases of pop and stuff. We're carrying all this stuff, right? As guys, we typically do that. I don't need any help. I got this. But what if you don't have it? And I talked about just that men, we need to realize that we do need help and we do need to reach out. So I had a listener in New Zealand, a father of 4, who reached out to me and said, I've been wrestling with this for years that I know I need help, but until I heard you say it, it didn't click. I just set up my first appointment to go get some help with my mental health because of you.
Mm.
I would record 100 episodes for that show if I had the opportunity to reach one person. So I don't really worry about the big numbers. I worry about the depth of connection. So when somebody comes to me, Steph, and says, I want to grow my show, first question I have for them, I'm like, define the word grow. And they look at me funny, like, what do you mean grow? I want to grow my show. I want to get more people. Okay. What if growth meant depth of connection? What if grow meant people listen to your show longer, to the whole episode, not just the first minute? What if growth meant something else than just more people? What if it was more depth? What if you knew the name of your listener? Like you really knew them. You spent time like this on screen with them and had a conversation with them. Would that not be growth? I think it would be, because now you're not talking to an analytic, a stat, a listen. You're talking to a person. And I know that this person listens to my show. I have a new listener I met last week. He's a researcher and scientist, and he's in the Arctic, and his name is Sebastian.
Man.
I know him by name, and I met with him virtually from his office in Oslo, Norway, last week. So now when I go to record my next episode, I'm thinking of Sebastian, who's going to listen to me while he's running around up in the Arctic doing his research projects, and he's listening to me, my show. It's like, I don't have to guess who my audience is anymore. I don't have to wonder. And I now have a deeper connection with my audience. And if I could do that one person at a time, that's how I collect people.
No, and I think that's such a good reminder for all of us podcasters, um, and I also think that, like, when you because I think that sometimes and this is why I have loved being off social media, right? Because when I was, like, on social media, it's like you see these clips and everyone has the fancy studios and everyone looks so cool, but that's not really what podcasting is. Like what you're saying, podcasting is being able to connect with someone, to be able to, like, share a different point of view or a perspective that could help, and so all that stuff really doesn't matter. And, like, I'm curious because you have the podcast with your wife about business. Um, Having that podcast has it helped your guys' business? Because that's where I found that usually podcasting with a business is one of the best ways to do it than podcast to, like, consumer type of thing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's opened the doors for us to meet other people who do what we do. But the other benefit, I think, and even better than that, is it's helped our relationship, because
Mm.
now we have an appointment to talk.
Yeah.
We have an episode to do. So now it's priority that we talk to each other. And that's probably the most fun part, I think, in all of it. And even if nobody listened to that, I would still record because I get to talk to my wife. So, yeah,
For sure. For sure, and that's where like, I just feel like we're on the same,
yeah,
plane with that because I think people underestimate 'cause it's a lot of times it's, like, all about the numbers, right? But, like and that's where I didn't know my stats until I moved to Spotify for creators a couple years ago.
yeah,
And so when people would ask, I'd just be like, "I don't know." And now I see them, but I just like I honestly don't care. Like I'm not like paying attention to it. But I love that like that was never my thing because to be honest, I probably would have been discouraged early on. But I feel like using podcasting with a business, like we've seen it open so many doors for
yeah,
us as well, with the company that I work for and, like, it's a easier thing to be like, "Hey, come be on our podcast," than like, "Hey, come to lunch," you know? And then they
right.
have,
Yeah,
experience with it.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I love what you guys do and I love what you do. And again, I love being here representing your community stuff because you just bring so much value in this space. So thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. I mean, I seriously, um, could hear you talk for hours. I love it. Um, okay, my last question, though, because I wanna be respectful of your time, because I know you need to go to sleep, is,
Yeah.
um, to the person who hasn't started their podcast yet, and they're listening to things, they want to, they have an idea, and they should definitely go listen to your podcast, How to Start a Podcast. But,
Yeah.
like, what's your advice for them to, like, pull the plug and actually do it?
Well, first of all, if you're contemplating having a podcast, welcome to the family. That's the first thing. You're going to meet the nicest people in the world. There's a lot of amazing people in this space. So welcome to the group. That's the coolest thing. My caution for you is don't try to podcast by yourself. Find somebody. Find somebody who's podcasting. Find somebody like Steph who's doing it and doing it well, and work with somebody like Steph. Pick their brain. Be accountable to somebody because there's going to be times where you're going to be like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Right? I got that one listen and it's bothering me because I want to reach the world. Yeah, I want you to reach the world as well. And just on that note, I'm not saying that having one listener is the goal for everybody because we want as many people as possible to hear our podcast and be a part of our community. So grow your podcast and have 100,000 downloads, but never forget it's all built one person at a time, right? Over a period of time. Just keep that in mind. So as a new person coming into the space, I would just encourage you to be a part of the community, listen to podcasts, support other podcasters, find the thing that you love the most and you would talk about for free forever because it's just the thing that lights you up. That's the thing, right? And when you think about what makes me unique, it's you. It's the combination that's completely unique to you that nobody else has. Your education, your background, your life story, your family, your everything you've ever experienced, every book you've read, every song you've heard, all of that makes you the mixture of you that can't be duplicated by anybody, any machine, anything else. So if you don't do your show, nobody's going to hear that show. You're the only one who can do it. All you need is some experience, get into the batting cages, grab a bucket of golf balls and swing that golf club. You just need some practice. That's all it takes. And that'll help you to be more comfortable. Find somebody who's in your corner. I think everybody needs a cheerleader, a coach, and a challenger. The cheerleader, they don't care about your faults. They're just going to cheer you on. You're the best thing ever. You can't do any wrong. That coach is going to be somebody who comes in and goes, you know, we could tweak this. We could make this a little bit better. Every sports player has a coach, even the best, the richest sports players in any sport has a coach for a reason. They see things from a different perspective. So you need a coach and you need somebody who challenges you, somebody who will kick you in the butt and say, listen, you're not, you're not living up to the promise you made. You could be better. So enough of the fluff, get to work, right? You need those people in your life because they will all three of those bring something special to you as a creative person. So find those people and build your world around them. Show up, do your best. And one of my favorite quotes, do what you can with what you have where you are. Do what you can with what you have where you are. You don't need anything else. You have everything you need to start. Do what you can. What can you do? Do that with what you have. You don't have to go spend a ton of money. Do what you can with what you have and do it from where you are. You don't have to go study for 4 years and get a degree to be a podcaster. You need a microphone, you need a topic, and you need a passion. That's all you need. And a little bit of coaching, a little bit of help from somebody like Steph, you're in the right spot. That's all you need.
Such wise words, and thanks for the shout out, but or someone like Dave, who Dave has double my experience, but
If Steph is busy and she can't come to the phone, then I can be your backup. But please go to Steph first.
No, thank you. But honestly though, I love what you said about do what you can with what you have
Right.
and just start. And I hope that you guys that have been listening can take something that stood out to you and move forward with your podcast this week. Because remember, like Dave was saying, the Apple, your audience is they're waiting for that next episode. So get out there and push pub. I forget how I end this now because I haven't podcast for a little bit. Get out there and just get your episode out. Okay, guys.
Do it.
Okay. And thanks,
Do it.
Dave, for chatting with me. And I'll catch you guys next Saturday.